My name is Joyce Wilden from BuzzBiz PR. Thank you for the wonderful introductions from both Heather and Crystal. The Small Business Development Center, I don't have to tell you how wonderful they are, but they provide an amazing resource in our community by presenting all of these free programs to businesses just like yours to help folks who may not know where they want to go with their business, or maybe who want to hone their skills in a particular area. And I just really appreciate having this opportunity to speak to a lot of folks and also to work with the Small Business Development Center. In your packet, there's a little thing about who moved my cheese. And you're like, that sounds vaguely familiar. Who moved my cheese? You'll find out what that is in a second. Going after new cheese. You can see I'm really into metaphors here, right? And then we're going to take a little bit of a break, give you all a chance to network with each other. That's another thing that all of these seminars do, or other networking groups that you may belong to, and I hope you do belong to some, is it gives you a chance to see who else is in the community that you may be able to work with, get some synergy from a project that you're doing that someone else may have another project that really dovetails beautifully, or just expand that network. It's amazing to see how many people you really do know. And when you need some kind of a resource, the more people you know, the more people that you can call on to help you or to help your client. Really, that's what we're talking about. And then we're going to talk about savoring old cheese, and you'll find out what that is in a second too. Does anyone here not like cheese? Not like cheese. Okay, I'm glad, because we're going to be talking a lot about cheese, which of course stands in for your business. So the cheese has moved. Now what? When Vicki Peak, the person that heads the Small Business Development Center, was talking to me about the need for this, she was explaining to me that many people are in a scenario where they are reinventing themselves. They've had a business, they've maybe had a business for many years, and now are thinking, what's that extra edge? What else can I do? Or what can I do to get more business from what I've already been doing? And those are some of the questions that we're going to look at today, and look at some possible ways that you can answer that for your own business. So, lessons from the classic business parable. If you've ever read Who Moved My Cheese, it's that thick, and the whole thing is a parable. All right, so what does a branding workshop have to do with Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, so that's what the book looks like. Maybe your boss gave it to you at one point. It's the best-selling business book of all time. And you're thinking, really? It's the best-selling business book of all time? I think, for several reasons. 23 million copies worldwide, 42 languages. So a lot of people have learned about this whole cheese thing. It's really about changes. It's a very simple message about adapting to change. Is there anyone who has not gone through any changes in these last few months or last couple of years with their business? Of course not. You're all going through change. We're all going through change. Our lives have pretty much changed forever it's just part of life. All right, so this is the quick and silly synopsis. Sniff and Scurry, those are cute names for two mice, right? They eat at the Cheese Station C. Every day they go to Cheese Station C, along with a couple of mini human characters called Hem and Haw. But one day they go to Cheese Station C and, oh my gosh, there's no more cheese there anymore. What do we do? Well, Sniff and Scurry have been planning about this. They have been noticing that the cheese has been diminishing over time, and they've been making plans about what to do. So they go off to find some new cheese, and they find it. Meanwhile, Hem and Haw are back there at Cheese Station C, they come the next day, it's still gone. The next day, it's still gone. But they're not thinking about what is it that they can do to get new cheese. Well, finally, Haw leaves and says, I'm going off to find my own new cheese, and Hem stays there, angry and frustrated. So, here's the simple analogy. Your business, maybe you've noticed that drop-off in business, and it's dropping off, and it's dropping off, and it's dropping off. Your successful counterparts, or perhaps you yourself, had said, you know what? I need to think of something else to do. I need to think of some new cheese. I need some kind of a new edge. Maybe I need to repackage this message, this product, this service in a new way, or go after a new market. That's finding that new cheese. If you haven't done that, well, let's see. Has your cheese moved? Yes. One thing is certain. There is definitely change ahead. And what do you do when something's not working anymore? Change is definitely going to happen. It's happening now. So now what? You can starve, like him, or you can find some new cheese, little Gouda, or you can find a way to get more slices from your old cheese station. Okay, so those are the things we're going to talk about. So you can admit defeat, you can reinvent yourself and go after new markets, or you can dig through your existing customers and get more repeat customers and more business from those. Only option one is easy. And obviously you all are not admitting defeat or you wouldn't be here today. You're looking for information on options 2 and 3. Surrender, throwing in the towel. It's not really an option. But him in the parable just gives up and he just stays where he was, doing the same thing that's not achieving any results. In your packet, and like I gave what I call the quick and silly synopsis, but in your packet there's a longer synopsis, looks like this, of the book itself. And on the last page there's one of the what they call the handwriting on the wall. And the handwriting on the wall is adapt to change quickly. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you can enjoy new cheese. And letting go is the first thing that you have to do in order to take that first step in a new direction. So what would you do if you weren't afraid? You know, and really, this is a very big question. It's a very big question because many people have invested all this time, all this effort, and all that they know in creating this thing that they have been for all this time. You know, even if you haven't been in business for 20 years, but it's been 5 years or it's been 3 years, still the way you think about your business, the way you think about yourself, the way you think about delivering that product or service is very well defined in your head. And so the prospect of, you know, completely abandoning that and going off in a new direction is a very scary thing. Change is exciting, it's stimulating, but it can also be scary. So acknowledge that in yourself. But I think as you go through, you'll understand that the benefits of going in a new direction and just trying something new are positive. You know, I'm a good example. I was in the home building industry for about 20 years. I worked for 2 different employers. And 2005 came, whoo, man, everything was rosy. We were at the top of the market. Oh my gosh, the home builder I worked for could not sell them fast enough. In fact, they were so ethical, they should have gone through Crystal's ethical leadership training, that at one point they decided to the customers that they had already sold homes to, but not yet closed. And by closed, I mean that contractual thing before they actually hand them the keys. They said, you know what? The market's really gone up. So if you still want this home that I have sold you, you're going to need to pay me some more money. And legally, they could do that. And they did that. That is how confident and overconfident many businesses became at that height of the market. But then things turned around very, very quickly. All of a sudden, employees started being thrown overboard. Oh, big layoff here, big layoff here. We're closing this division. Now it's come to corporate. Now it's coming closer to your department. You walk down the hallway during the day, and it's like there's an empty office there now where there didn't used to be one before. And there's an empty office down here where there didn't used to be one anymore. But what did I do? Did I go out in search of my new cheese? Heck no. I hung on. I was riding that train for as long as I could ride that train. And one day, I got the pink slip too. And it was time. And the decision was made for me. And I was thrown off of the train. And then I had to do something. And so sometimes the changes that occur force us to move in another direction, whether we're afraid to or not. I was afraid. The decision was made for me. Hopefully you'll be proactive enough to where you will institute the change that you need to be more successful before something drastic happens in your career or in your business. Okay, so now we're talking about going after that new cheese, a new or a reinvented brand. Savor the adventure and enjoy the taste of new cheese. She just looks so delighted, doesn't she? Don't you just wish that we could always harness that absolute pure joy that kids have? You know what? They don't have the experience or the burden of that experience in the back of their heads, so they just go right on ahead to every brand new experience. And they do it with enthusiasm, and they do it with joy. If we could approach things with a little less fear and a little more joy, we'd go a lot more places than we do. All right, so here we are. We're at like the major crossroads. Option number 2. Reinvent yourself and go after new customers and markets. How do you do that? All right, well, you've been in business for all this time and you've been doing things the same way. You've had the same group of clients. You've had the same approach. But now if you are honestly going to let go of fear and go in a new direction, the number one thing you need to do is research. Research. We're going to talk about DBAs, doing business as. This is a way that you can protect your existing brand, but yet step to the side and do something else that maybe you've been thinking about and be successful in that as well. Segmentation. This is a very, very important thing that many people never bother to do. They only go after the low-hanging fruit, and they never really look for the other customers that may be out there for their products. The other one is retooling your business. That's maybe a scary one to a lot of folks. What changes, if you're going to go after this new cheese, what changes might you need to make to your business in order to be successful? Then we're going to talk about surveys. You know, just like at the end of an experiment, if remember your high school biology class or whatever, at the end of the scientific method, does anyone remember what the very last step is of the scientific method? It's repeat. Repeat. What you're doing is you're testing the information that you just got. So therefore, if you think, oh, this is a great idea, I'm going after this new business, you put everything into place, you do it. If you're not testing, if you're not surveying, if you're not soliciting that feedback, how do you know if you really are getting the results that you need? We're going to talk about measurement, about tracking. So a new or reinvented brand. New cheese means new marketing. New marketing. First of all, let's talk about what marketing is. There's really 2 different kinds. There's the promotional marketing, which is the sexy, fun marketing that everyone just thinks, oh, you're in marketing? That must be so fun. You must just love marketing. Well, there's 2 kinds. There's that promotional marketing, which are the ads and the billboards and that beautiful glossy brochure and your website and all of that outreach. Once you've figured all your stuff out, that's the promotional marketing. That's the pretty stuff. That's your outreach to the public, promotional marketing. This kind of marketing that we're talking about is the first step you need to take, and it's the hard stuff. It is the hard stuff. It is the research. It is the getting down there and finding out who your competition is. What kind of a price are you going to do for this new product idea or service? What kind of barriers to entry might there be? What might be a barrier to entry? Well, if there's already 20 people doing the same thing, can the market really sustain one more person doing that? Maybe that's a barrier. Maybe it's exorbitantly expensive to get the licensing to do the thing that you're thinking about. All of these things must be researched, and that is step 1. There's an expression in marketing that says the best promotional marketing, all those things we just talked about, you know, the brochure and the website and the billboards and the ads, the best of those can never overcome flawed, fundamental marketing. So if you've not got your fundamentals right, forget the rest of it, because you are just going to be throwing your money away. This is the most important thing to do, research. So how do you do your research? You're like, all right, well, I know I need to do it. Sounds pretty important. How am I going to do this research? You can buy it. absolutely every industry out there. There's something out there that you can buy. Let your fingers be Googling. You've got to do some research that way. There's a lot of great community resources that do nothing but research, like the Economic Development Commission. They are constantly digging in their efforts to bring new businesses to the county. They're a wealth of resources. The Chambers of Commerce are a wealth of resources. The Small Business Development Center. And last but not least, although there are more, but certainly your local newspapers. Florida Today, newspapers have done research about the community and have that available, and they have been doing it a long time. They can give you media kits that tell you down to the street level just about the income level, the gender, the economic background, everything about the people. So when you're looking for your market and whether the market is right for the product that you have, these different resources. Yes, sir.
Newspapers, is that free?
Oh,
They'll share that with you?
yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, okay. But I mean, you just don't say, "Hi, I want your free resources." You say, I have a small business and I'm considering doing some advertising, which may be true. I mean, if your business is really successful, maybe you would like to do some advertising. And I want to see if Florida Today is the right vehicle for my marketing. May I have a media kit? May I have a media kit? You can ask this of any media source, be it a billboard company, be it ask for their media kit, and they will give you on a silver platter a wealth of demographic information about the entire geographic area. So that's a really good resource. Focus groups. Yeah. Oh, you know, or you think you know who your market may be. So you're bringing in people that you think may represent that market. For a 25, people will do things for a pittance. Just the fact that you think that they are important enough that you want to ask them questions, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, a $20 certificate to Crispers, you bet, I'll be there. What time? And so you get a few people in a room and you have some questions ready that you want to ask them. These would be the questions that you would ask of a customer. Do you think that, how likely would you be to buy this product at this price point? Oh, and people will tell you exactly what they think. Is all of that information relevant? Not necessarily, but you'll start to see patterns that will evolve from the different answers. And a focus group is meant to do just that. It's to help you take an idea that's out here and bring it in a little bit tighter. Because really that is always what you want to do in marketing, is to be able to focus your efforts on your target group. So finding out who really is my target group, who really is my market. In some of my other seminars, I ask people to close their eyes and get a mental picture of who their customer is. And they'll say, well, my customer could be anybody. I don't know who my customer. You have to really know who your customer is. Okay, sure. Well, maybe you sell to a variety of different people, but there's one group that you focus on more than the others, or that seems to be more receptive to your product and service than the others. They probably have a specific age range. They probably maybe gender-based in some way. They behave in a certain way. We'll talk about that more when we get to segmentation. But knowing who your market is something you can find out certainly with research. Your gut is notoriously unreliable. Your own fancy footwork. Yeah, that's the other big research tool, is you. Don't just buy it. Don't just rely on external things. If you are setting up a new store in town and you want to know who your competitors are, go to their places of business. Send your friend in, do a little covert operation. Your own footwork is one of the biggest things you can do. How late are they open? Are you going to be staying open that late? What kind of services do your competitors offer? just do your own footwork. You know when something is a good location. Do you want a location that's right on the main drag, or are you going to be tucked away back there? Drive around, get in your car, send your friends. The more research from the more sources that you can, it's like a puzzle. You know, you've got an idea, and you've got all those straight edge pieces of the puzzle filled in. But now it's like there's a big, giant, empty hole in the middle. You've got to start filling in those pieces, and you can do that with research. Okay, so these are the questions that it should answer. We've talked about a lot of these. Who is your buyer, and who is your competition? What exactly is your product, and what is it that makes it unique? That word unique is very important. There's a thing in sales called a unique selling proposition. What is your unique selling proposition? What in the world is going to differentiate you from the two other people down the street that are selling the exact same thing? And don't say price, because that is the last thing that you want to compete on. Because they're going to lower their prices, and then you're going to lower yours. And then they're going to lower theirs, and then you're going to lower yours. And then pretty soon you are being driven out of business by the fact that you are competing solely on price. I'm not saying don't be competitive. You absolutely want to be competitive. But you never want to do something solely on price. When will people buy your product, and when are its buying peaks and valleys? If you're in the pumpkin pie business and you've got like a killer recipe for pumpkin pie, when are you going to sell that?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, and probably Christmas over the holidays. You're not going to be blowing your marketing budget in February or March because nobody's thinking about pumpkin pie then. They don't want pumpkin pie then. Silly example, but just know what those buying peaks and valleys are. When will a customer be ready to buy your product again? Sometimes it goes like this. Chart that over time. We'll talk more about tracking, but that's definitely something good to track. Where will you sell your product, and where will you market your product? That may be very different things. Maybe you are selling out of a storefront, but you are marketing online. There's a different combination of things. Those are the things you have to work out. Why do people need my product, and why will I outsell my competitors? All right, here's a very important word we're going to talk about: need. Need. We are in an economy right now where the discretionary income for many, many people has completely dried up. When discretionary income dries up, you know, everybody's got a list of what they want, and everybody has a list of things they need. When discretionary income goes away, that need column becomes much more important. But okay, you've got a great idea, or you've been selling this product that is absolutely awesome, but it's not necessarily something that, you know, it doesn't provide shelter or food, or it won't pay their electric bill, but it's still something awesome, and it's a great product. Here's your challenge then. You need to take your product, refine your marketing, so that people put it in terms of need. In terms of need. Does everybody kind of get where I'm going with that on that one? It may not be something that they actually need. Your marketing challenge is to rephrase your marketing so that it becomes something to them that is absolutely essential.
So we don't want to lead them to water, we want to make them thirsty.
Yes, that's a good way. That's a very round of applause for this gentleman. He's paying attention. Yeah. Your identity. Your identity. This is key to who you are. Doing business as. Okay, doing business as. Is everyone familiar with this? It's also called a DBA. A DBA. When you first started your business, whatever your business is, you went in, you registered with the state, you told them who you were, you told them your company name, and you thought, bingo, bango, I'm done. All right, well, but now you've got a new idea. You've got a new product, but it doesn't really fit exactly with your old business. And you're like, well, you know, I don't want to offer that as one of the services of my existing business because it's completely different. And then it'll mix up my customers, and they won't really know what I'm all about if I'm selling this really different thing as part of my existing business. You know what? That's smart. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be all things to all people because then people don't know who you really are. But if you've got a killer idea if you've got an idea for a new service, simply do a DBA, doing business as. It's a perfect idea for a new product. It keeps your brand intact by separating it out from your original business. It gives instant credibility to the new business. You know, XYZ Painting, who may have been in town for 50 years, doing business at, or now doing business as, and then you know, maybe you mention what that new business is. So it helps people know, well, this is the people that made that business so successful, and now they've got this other thing that they're doing. But it allows you to market them separately. But you can use your existing resources. Say you're a manufacturer and you've got this one thing over here, but you want to manufacture something else that really doesn't fit with the concept of these other ones, but you've got this manufacturing facility and you've got all these tools and you've got all these employees who could be making this other thing for you too. So you can leverage your existing resources to do this new thing. I talked to my accountant and she said, it's considered all one company for tax purposes. So you may have 3 DBAs, 4 DBAs. And when it comes time to do the taxes at the end of the year, it's just all considered one company. That's the way that your accountant is going to consider it. Allows you to market with distinctive differences. So you've got 2 different products. You've got 2 different services. You don't want to lump them all together in one kind of an ad that says, I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. You want to separate them out, and now you can really shine a light on this one thing that you do, or this one product that you do. Quick example, I was giving another workshop, and I really don't remember the guy's business name exactly, but we went around the table, which we should have done, but I'll do that in a little bit. Before we go on break, remind me, and we'll go around and everybody will introduce themselves. And we went around the table, and this one person said, yeah, I'm John, and I own C&J Services. I'm like, all right, well, you know, tell me about C&J Services. What do you do? And he wanted to tell me that there really are 3 different businesses for C&J Services, and one of them is like some senior resource thing. Another one is an entertainment business where like DJs and stuff like that. And then the third one was something else that was completely different from all of them. And I thought, okay, and this is one company, and you're doing 3 different, and it's one company. And so that's what he was doing. So, I mean, there were a few mistakes there. He could have simply done DBAs and had 3 separate companies all under C&J Services, but instead he was trying to market all 3 of these very, very diverse, different business entities under one thing. Yes, sir.
So doing business as, you said C&J Services? So,
I'm guessing.
Okay, C&J Services Entertainment would be one of them, for instance?
You could, or you know what, I am not a big fan of things like W&S. Oh yeah, I took the first initial from my name and the first initial from my wife's name, and we put it together and we came up with a business name. Woohoo! You know, that may be meaningful for you and your wife. It's not meaningful for your clients at all, unless the whole focus of all your marketing is about you and your wife. And it probably won't be. So, you know, a caution there. If you haven't come up with a name for your company, or you're thinking about a DBA, don't give it some kind of blah, nothing kind of a name. Give it a name that means something to the client. Some things, you know, there's a lot of times when, you know, you're taking out an ad, it's the high school yearbook, well, you put in just a business card ad. All right, well, there's no room except this big for your logo and the name of your company. If it says C&J Services, what does that mean? Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. But if it says, you know, Entertainment by Ron Razzle Dazzle, or Razzle Dazzle Entertainment, something like that, I mean, then all of a sudden it's meaningful and it means something. Your logo should mean something. Your business name should mean something. And before I get off on this, one way to do this is to go to GoDaddy.com and start plugging in things. Because if you're thinking about doing a website, don't come up with some awesome name, incorporated, do all that stuff, get your license, and then find out, gee, that name's not available. Or you've got to throw in 3 hyphens in order to get your name in. And then, .com's gone, .net's gone. You can get like, .biz or No, go to GoDaddy first, play with it a little bit, and see what names sound pretty good that aren't taken yet that will apply to your business. So it's kind of a reverse engineering way to get a good name, because you really, really, really want your website name to be the same as your company name, because people just aren't that smart, and they'll forget your business card, but they met you at a networking event and oh, it was awesome, and they really want to do business with you, but they've what was that guy's name? Oh, what was that company name again? So if they remember the name of the company, chances are it will lead them to your website. So try to reverse engineer that, get your website name, and then name your company from that. 2 questions, here and here. Yes.
Your exit strategy. Who's going to buy C&J Entertainment when they can buy Rezzle Bezel?
Oh yeah, from a marketing standpoint, it's just more exciting. It paints a picture. That's your promotional marketing. Of course, you want to do that. You want to be able to convey emotion, visuals, things that will convey some kind of a feeling about your brand and present a compelling reason why somebody would choose you over C&J Services. Yes, sir.
I was just going to say that I have a business that is what I've been doing, but I want to do an e-trade. So I'm just going to name it a totally different thing. Like Darden Foods owns Red Lobster, Smoky Bones, and Olive Garden.
And they don't market them. They don't market them as Darden Foods.
Right.
You've got the Italian thing going on for Olive Garden. Right. So they've taken advantage of the overarching structure, but yet then they have these separate entities that they're able to devote specific marketing to.
Like I want to sell. You know me, I want to sell lamps online, but nobody knows Michael Gainey outside of Brevard County, so I'm going to call it something else. Just whatever. But
yeah,
and
you know what? Lamps Online. That's actually a pretty good name. And that's another thing too. When you're talking to people about your business concept, and you find yourself using the same words to describe the business concept, think about that. Or when someone asks you the same question over and over again, and they restate what you just told them using a phrase that seems to come up over and over again, that's important. That's actually research that's occurring intuitively. Take advantage of that, because that's the way we act as human animals. I mean, we just respond. We respond to a logo. We respond to a phrase. And so take advantage of those things that are occurring as you're doing that informal kind of research. So how to set up a DBA. Just go to soundbiz.org, the same place that you went to set up your company, your original one. Follow the steps to register a fictitious name. And this just means any name under which a person transacts business in Florida. You pay $50 to the state of Florida, and then you advertise the new company name in a county newspaper. Proof will not be required. I actually didn't know this step here. My husband said, oh yeah, you got to advertise that in the newspaper. Really? But I guess the fact that proof will not be required is why I was not advised to do that to start with. But according to Florida and the law, you are supposed to do that. This is an important one too. I'm not a lawyer. Don't, you've got your DBA, and then you find out, oh, well, in this county I need, or this municipality I need to get a light. You probably do. That's part of your research. But this is how you get a DBA.
Does that not mean that we should consider consulting a lawyer? If it's
No.
Because you can't sue her.
Yeah, thank you. That's really what I'm saying. Don't sue me. Yeah, it's a disclaimer. But, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. But really, the Small Business Development Center, you ask them, how do I set up my small business? And they will give you a packet. You can just Google a small business. Florida Trend also has like a small business magazine that they print that comes off with it. And it's step by step. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Or you can get on the phone and talk to the person at the county and say, do I need a license for this kind of business? Yeah, you may need a license for the kind of business that you're talking about. Yes, sir, back there.
So what is the advantage of doing DBA over, like if it's a corporation, creating limited subsidiary corporations under the parent company?
Well, you may not have to go through all of the same hoops. You can just say, here's my main business, doing business as, doing business as, doing business as. And then you can take those 3 different DBAs and market them separately. So it's just not quite as involved as the whole initial thing is. It's just a DBA. And then your new venture is hatched, and then you can go forward and begin to market with zest and enthusiasm, like that little girl going after that new cheese. That is a picture of low-hanging fruit. It's also oranges, but segmenting the market. Okay, here's another biggie. Segmenting the market. You have already gone after all the low-hanging fruit. And what do I mean by low-hanging fruit? I mean that those easy ones that you think of immediately as the people that will be that want to buy your goods or services. You've thought of them, and those are the ones that are kind of dwindling a little bit now. They're dwindling a little bit now. But maybe you've never thought about segmenting the market. A great example of segmentation, I think, is Geico, because Geico sells insurance to everybody. And then they've got, they must have buckets of money, but they've got these 3 different campaigns. They've got the caveman campaign for, the young hipster. It's on MTV, and it's got his own crib, and he's got his own website and interactive this and that. And then they've got the gecko. Hi, blokes, I'm friendly. I'm very non-threatening. I'm for seniors. And he hangs out in libraries. And then what's the third one? Oh, yeah, the googly eye money thing. Somebody's watching me. That one where the guy, it's literally your eyes on your money. And so that's for that value-conscious middle-aged person who is right in the middle of their business, and they're watching their pennies and they're watching their money grow. That's for that segment. So Geico very effectively said, okay, my market is gigantic. I'm going to slice it into these 3 big pieces here, and I'm going to market to each of them separately. To the young people, to the people in business, to the seniors and slightly older folks. It's really about segmentation. It's about that appeal. Remember I was saying that, we're humans, we're dumb, we simply respond. You respond intuitively based on your age, your gender, your background, all of the experience in your life that you have brought to this moment of this commercial or this ad. And so you simply respond. And people that create those pieces of marketing and those ads, they know that. They know that. And then there are wonderful things like Facebook, where you get on Facebook and you say, I graduated in 1968, and I'm female, and I like to shop, I like to do this, I like to do this, I like to do this. And then you interact with all your friends and your family. And guess what? Facebook is a giant data mining operation, and they have that information available: how old you are, what school you went to, what you like to do, what your hobbies are, the games that you've played. That's all available to the advertisers on Facebook, which is why if you go on Facebook, it's like, wow, how did they know I graduated in 1978? It's right here. Or there's a specific thing that's very specific. They geo-target and behavioral target. It's very, very sophisticated. And really, that is the direction that advertising and marketing is going in the future, is that we are socially interacting. All of these different vehicles are coming together, and you're providing information that's being used so that people will serve up ads to you based on who you are. Some people get really protective of their information. Oh, I don't want people to know all that about me. But on the other hand, do you want to wade through a bunch of stuff that you're not interested in? Or would you rather have someone give you, oh, wow, you've been online looking for watches for the past 6 weeks for a Christmas present for somebody? Well, wow, look at that. There's an ad for a watch that shows up when you log on to Yahoo or something like that. So it's like they know what you're looking for, and they give it to you. Because the more targeted, and we're talking about this too, the more targeted your marketing is, the more inclined your client will be to buy it. You don't want to market to the masses. You want to market to just that person. Remember, in your head, your eyes are closed, you're thinking of who that person is. You want to, I'm getting ahead of myself. Segmenting your market makes it easier to focus and tailor your marketing. That's what we're talking about. And here's how it works. Those are orange slices. So you consider the universe of possible buyers for your product, just like Geico. They had that whole universe of buyers. Oh, and by the way, someone asked me at a seminar, well, they also sell insurance like for 16-year-olds when they first start out. How come they're not advertising to them? I'm like,
They don't want them.
16-year-olds don't buy their own insurance. They are already advertising to the group that buys the insurance for those 16-year-olds. So then you divide that universe of all possible buyers into different categories. And here's the key, grouped by similar characteristics or buying habits. So the more you know about who it is that is buying your product, the better able you are to go out and get more of those same ones. That's going to require you to be interactive with them. Find out who they are. You don't want to just like, okay, sold to you, on to the next. No, find out what it is. Yes, sir.
Kind of like McDonald's. They've gone to the adult thing with the coffees and all that kind
Of course. Any of those big major brands, oh my gosh, so sophisticated. That's why they are where they are. They do their homework. Okay, so you divide them up, and then you devise a different type of outreach or campaign for each group. All right, we're going to take a look at a couple of groups here. They share characteristics that can be reached the same way, and they generally behave or buy the same way. Again, here's that key point. Segmenting will bring greater market success than a general message to a large group. People want to know that you are reaching out to them, that you want them. Okay, well, here's 3 different segments. Do you think that a product, all right, let's say they all can fall and scrape their knee and they all need a Band-Aid. Do you think reaching out to these 3 different groups with one, well, maybe that's not a good idea, because I guess they all kind of would understand that. But really my point is that these people behave very differently from each other, but they behave the same within that group. Like maybe these ladies all go to the same church. Maybe they all watch the same movies or TV channels. They do. They do. Maybe these surfers here all get Surfer Magazine. Maybe they all log into surfweb.com/Cocoa Beach every morning to see what the waves are like before they go out there and hit the waves. So because a group behaves in the same way, you want to know, how can I reach that group by getting into that behavior? A new or reinvented brand. Okay, so retooling. So you've got a product, you've got a service, and you're like, you know what, I know this is going to work. I've done my research. What do I need to do to change my business to make this happen? So these are questions. When you get to this step, you may decide, you know what, I'm doing a cost-benefit analysis here. It's not worth it. I only think I'm going to get X amount of sales probably out of this new group for this new product. And in order to retool the existing business or to start off in a new direction, maybe it's not going to work for me. That's why research is so critical. All of these things. More questions. Will you be able to utilize your existing resources? How are you going to distribute it or sell it? Website and marketing, equipment, staff. This is why that option 2, reinventing yourself or going after new cheese, it's not the easiest option. Surrender is always the easiest option. Doing something new is hard, and there's no magic bullet. It really requires you to do that work. Oh, this one made me laugh. I was doing this like 11 o'clock. And it's just like I put this big picture of stinky cheese in there, and I just started laughing. Monitor change. In your Who've Moved My Change, this is one of their handwriting on the wall things. Monitor the change. Smell the cheese often so you know when it's getting old. As you were sitting there and your business was starting to dwindle, and it was dwindling, and it was dwindling, and it was dwindling, were you monitoring it? Were you trying to find out why these things were really happening? Or were you just like him, hoping to God that the next day you're going to go to the cheese station and there's magically going to be more cheese when the day before there was none? Track, measure, and survey. Track, measure, and survey. I know everybody, especially small businesses, I was emailing with Michael about this yesterday, you wear a lot of hats. You're your own IT guy. You're your own janitor. You're not in the corporate world anymore where there was just like, oh, star 95. Hello, IT department, come down. I'm having snowy reception on my computer, and then you go take a coffee break and someone fixes your problem. You're fixing your problem. So you're thinking, I don't have time to track, measure, and survey. But if you don't smell that cheese, If you don't find out what's happening with your product, with your service, once you've launched it, then the chances are that cheese is just going to get up and walk away again. And you're going to be right back in the same boat. So monitor change. Track to quantify. Quantify, what does quantify mean? It means something that is measurable, something you can count exactly, not your gut. Again, your gut is notoriously inaccurate. Put it on a spreadsheet. Actually count those customers. You know how many sales you had. Oh, you know how many sales you had because that's what, puts the money into the bank. But there's a lot more to tracking your effectiveness and tracking your product than just how many sales you had. A lot more. Measure. Establish performance benchmarks. Not, yes, your sales numbers. How much does it cost you to attract someone to make that sale? If you've got a low-cost item and you're spending a lot of money to just bring people in to buy your low-cost item, you're going in the hole. And the more you sell, the faster you're going to go in the hole. Know how much it costs you to attract someone. If it's costing you too much, you need to adjust your marketing or raise your product price or rethink this venture. How much does a sale cost? And you're like, all right, well, cost of a lead, cost of a sale, what's the difference there? Well, the difference is you may have 15 people come in that month and talk to your, Ace Johnson, your #1 sales guy, but it might take Ace seeing 10 people to make one sale. So the cost of your lead is one thing. The cost of your sale is something entirely different because you need to know that. How many people does it take that are hitting my website? How many people does it take that are clicking through from Facebook? How many people does it take walking through my door for Ace to be able to actually sell them? And you know what? It may be that Ace isn't the Ace that you thought he was. That's another thing you should be measuring. What's that person's effectiveness? How does that measure up to industry standards? Is he your brother-in-law? Or is he somebody that really has a sales background who knows how to sell? And that goes for you too. That's another thing that small businesses are challenged with every single day, is maybe they've got the know-how, maybe they were an engineer, maybe they were somebody that knows how to do this product, but they might not be the person to sell that product. That's a whole different skill set. Yes, sir.
Brevard Workforce will be willing to help us find the person that we're looking for if we need people.
I'm sure that's the case. There are a lot of good people on the street right now. And you know what? You don't even need to advertise for them. If you've got a Facebook page, and I hope you do have a Facebook brand page for your business, all you've got to do is put that out there. And then, people are sending this and that, and you will get, for every opening you have, an unbelievable amount of people that are qualified and overqualified for the position that you want. But the point is that you want to make sure that the people that are selling for you, whether that's you or whether that's another person, actually has the skills to sell your product. And they're not just somebody who's invented the product or somebody who's implemented the product or somebody who services the product. That's the challenge of small businesses. When you wear all those different hats, make sure they actually fit your head.
That's what I was mentioning, Brevard Workforce. Yeah. I just came from a seminar with them. And because today you're going to get 75 applications for something, and you can use an agency that's willing for free to help you sort through it to find that right person.
We have a huge skilled workforce in Brevard County, huge skilled workforce. So pick the right person for the right position. Survey, all right, let's get to some of these other ones. ROI, you know what that means. It just means the return on your investment. You should be tracking things. How much does it cost to bring my product to market? How much am I actually getting back? What does my bottom line look like? Do I have enough now to invest next year in some kind of marketing, in some kind of training for my employees, which would be good, to invest back into the business to develop that next product that I really want to bring to market? What does that ROI look like? And surveys. Are your customers satisfied? Are they suggesting improvements? Are you even bothering to ask them? A lot of businesses don't even bother. Like I said, we're just on to the next. Well, on to the next is not a good strategy anymore. And we'll talk about that more when we go into savoring your old cheese. Eliminate, modify. I visited with a client last week who I was kind of assessing their marketing and their structure, and they had a gigantic product line. Gigantic. I said, tell me about your process for determining what's in your product line and what's out of your product line. And guess what they relied on? The notorious gut to tell them what they should be carrying and what they should not be carrying. You should be tracking all of this. What's selling? When's the last time it sold? How many did you sell at that point? And oh, who did you sell them to? Maybe some products are more are packaged more to appeal to certain groups than to others. Hopefully that's the way that you're doing your marketing. But eliminate and modify what doesn't work. If you keep everything that you've ever invented or any product that you've ever sold, first of all, your product line gets terribly stale and it's filled with things that people don't necessarily want. It makes things difficult to find, and the more products or services that you offer, the more difficult it is for people to choose. That's a very important point. The more you offer, the less people can focus in on what it is that they need to choose. You know why? They're confused. We're simple, stupid, dumb animals. And we're looking at your website, which may be absolutely glorious and lots of bells and whistles, but there's just so much that people simply move on because they can't focus. You need to focus for them. You need to know what your strengths are and focus on those strengths. Get rid of the rest. Here's something else to consider. Do I need a whole new website? Do I add a page to my existing website? Or maybe I just need a Facebook page. These are all viable options that are all going to, it all depends, just like everything. It depends on your market. If your market is, let's say, 40-year-old women, maybe all you need is a Facebook page. Because you can go into Facebook, and Facebook advertising is a whole other beautiful thing, but even just a Facebook brand page, you may be able to attract enough likes to your Facebook brand page to drive your traffic elsewhere, or to even set up a shop right there on Facebook. And that's coming. There are more changes coming to Facebook that are going to make it more about commercial sales. Small businesses just like yours, they are rushing to Facebook because of the power. Why? Because it's free. Because it's free, and because it's powerful, and because really that's the direction that we're heading. We're heading further into that electronic age, and Facebook is a great way to reach, are you ready? 750 million people. And that number actually dates from earlier this year, so I'm sure it's over that by now. So those are the different things to consider. What do you want? Do you want a new website? Do you want a web page? Do you want a Facebook? If you want a website, and if you're considering that business name, I really suggest you do what I said earlier. Go to GoDaddy, play with that, find out what website names are available so that you can reverse engineer the name of your business. To raise your search engine rankings, if you do have a website, yes, sir?
Buy that name immediately when it's available.
Yeah, they're cheap. What are they, like $15 a year? Or
Somebody else will buy it, so if you...
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stories like that. Your great idea, your great business name, someone else already owns it, and then, well, yeah, sure, you can buy it. The price today is $10,000. Have you got that? Oh, the price tomorrow might be more than that. And so some actual large companies at the, in the early stages of the internet, they were held hostage by people who went ahead and bought their URL names. So optimize the language. What does that mean? You simply want to use, and you want to work with your web designer on that. There's probably some in here, so I don't want to go in too deep, because I don't know completely what I'm talking about. But you want to use language that's going to be in your keyword searches, so that, and the more of that you use, the more likely you are to come up there. It's going to take you a while to raise your website up. There's all different kinds of strategies for raising that, including, bidding on some of those keywords. There's some companies that have entire departments that do nothing but bid on keyword searches all day long for their company to raise their company up in the rankings. But here's just an important one. A lot of people have a gorgeous site and then they never touch it. and they go on merrily with their business, and meanwhile their site is just dropping, and it's just becomes stale. Add content frequently, even if it's just changing photos, changing a few words. All of those things are going to be acknowledged by the search engines and make you more readily accessible to people that are looking for you. Add video. That is, adding YouTube video is one of the biggest, hottest things for small businesses right now. You know, a 3-minute, a 4-minute, a 5-minute video. I mean, maybe you've got a really cool manufacturing process. You know, get a videographer in there, video some of that, and then host it on YouTube. Coming from home building, I used to beg for some kind of video. Please, let's get a video. Oh, it'd be so great if we could put a video on our website. And then our IT guys were like, no, it takes up too much space on the server. You cannot have a video. Well, those days are gone because YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. YouTube is, and they'll host your video for you. And you simply link to this YouTube video, make sure that it opens in a window, so that you don't lose someone to, you know, water skiing squirrels once they see your video. Yes, sir.
Anybody else with ADD like me, it's now 11/11/11/11/11, and that ain't gonna happen again.
Wow. Let's hear it for numbers.
Look at the clock right now. We need to do something.
Photo. Get it, Bill. Here we are. Look. It's 11:11. Your competition never stands still. You can't stand still. If you're using a marketing tool like this, like any kind of a marketing tool, you've got to constantly tweak, constantly, because your market is constantly changing. Time is moving on. Why would you have a static thing that doesn't change? You're changing. Every day you're changing. I mean, YouTube's going to come up as part of the search returns when someone is inquiring about anything. And chances are, if there is a YouTube video about something, someone will go ahead and click on it. And then they click on it, and then they hear about your, because of course on the last page or somewhere, or maybe in the background of the video, you're going to want to say what your company name is, what your company web address is, so that someone who finds you through YouTube is also going to be able to backtrack and find you on your website. Blog, add links, articles. Write. Not everybody is a writer, but to a certain extent, everybody is a little bit of a writer. The criteria for writing, I think, has come down a little bit because we're in a very interpersonal age. We're in a very conversational age. So if you're writing just a short little bit about your product, about your services, or something that's a little broader, that might have a broader application than just your very narrow silo, people are going to start to follow that. People can pick that up. And the more things that are out there in the ether, it's like dropping, Hansel and Gretel and dropping the breadcrumbs. All of those things lead back to your website. And that's what you want to do. You want to lay an electronic trail out there of breadcrumbs for people to follow back to your website. The second half of our presentation today is a little bit, we're going to go over a little bit quicker because I think a lot of you were more interested in how do I reinvent myself and go after new cheese than you might be out of I shouldn't say squeezing more cheese, but out of getting more cheese from your existing cheese station. But we're going to talk about that now too, and ways that you can get more out of what you have been doing already. How can you get more slices from your old cheese station? You can increase your market share with your existing customers through referrals, repeat sales. Take advantage of some of this cheap social media we were just talking about. Facebook, oh my gosh, 750 million people. Some of them could be your customers. Reach out to them, maintain top of mind awareness. What does that mean, top of mind awareness? It means that when you're in the grocery store and your hand is reaching toward the plethora of yogurt on the, with all the cheese and the eggs and the whatnot, you're gravitating towards something. And you may not know why, but one of them is in the top of your mind. One of them has maintained top of mind awareness with you, maybe through advertising, but you can also do that through social media and by staying in touch. And that's what we're going to talk about. To grow market share, you must recruit new customers or drive repeat sales and referrals from your existing customers, or both. to grow market share. New customers, that's the expensive way. That's the brand new cheese that we were talking about. New idea, new customers. Oh, on to the next. That's the most expensive way to do it. Or drive repeat sales and referrals from people who already have had an experience with you. Are you keeping their email addresses? People who are referred to a business tend to spend more money. That's what the studies say. It's because if you send your friend Mary Sue in to see someone, you're not sending her in there just to kick their tires or use their bathroom. You're sending her because you think that she really could benefit from the same business experience that you had. People who are referred spend more money. Referrals are free or a fraction of what you might pay in advertising costs. When a customer tells a friend or a family member about you, this is an amazing thing. They automatically trust you. Even though they don't know you, they trust you. Why? Because they trust the person that referred them to you. That's powerful. And this is where referrals happen, right here. Repeat business. Your customers already know and trust you. They've already had a good experience with you. So it's not like you're going out there and trying to get somebody brand new that has no idea who you are and convincing them, going through the whole sales process. These people know who you are. They're more receptive to your message. Message is the key word here. And they cost 5 times less than a new customer. Stay competitive and stay in touch. How many people have been doing business for a number of years already? Okay, we do have some. If you are, I have one, or had one client who brought me in and very proudly showed me an entire air-conditioned room as part of their office suite where there were nothing but big filing cabinets filled with people that they had been doing, well, filled with records of people that they had been doing business with for the 20-some-odd years they'd been in business. Well, that's great. Do you have an email address for them? No. No email addresses for any of them. That was like, they didn't even have a list of all the current addresses, but they had those filing cabinets and they were air conditioning them and you could open those up and there were lovely files. That is not what you want to do. You want to be able to have current information on your past customers who are more receptive to your message so that you can reach out to them in cheap, easy ways and stay in touch. Meanwhile, all you've got to do is stay competitive. You don't want to raise your prices through your roof while your competitors are providing the same service at a lower cost, because I tell you what, your competitors want to get a hold of your customers too. And if you're not reaching out to them, your competitors are. They're finding ways to stay in touch and get a hold of them, and maybe they're making them their brand new customers. Stay in touch. How can you do that? How do you stay in touch with your old cheese? Social media. The technology connects people, whether it's to share content or just to chat. We've talked about Facebook. It's a social network. That's where social interactions happen. Social media marketing. It's the way to use technology to build relationships. Relationships. That's what you want to do. You have a relationship with a customer that you have already delivered a product or a service to. You have a relationship. Maybe it's not a huge relationship. Maybe it consists of them being satisfied with whatever it is that you did. Maybe your cleaning service didn't tromp dirt through them as you did something in their home. They have a positive feeling about you. You want to stay in touch and build that relationship. Attract new customers through friends sharing with friends. We all know how the Facebook thing works. You know, someone likes you, but then the people that are friends with them see you on, it's all exponential, and it can keep going and it can keep going. And if you have a chance, hire someone about this age if you really want to get a real good bump on that. We are going to talk about constant contact, increasing market share with existing customers. Constant contact. This is a brand. This is a brand of HTML newsletter. It is probably the most powerful way that you can reach right into somebody's inbox and grab them by the throat and say, pay attention to me. A lot of people live right at their inbox, or they have their email open all day long while they're doing all their other stuff. Ooh, ding, ding, something's just come in, and they go back to their inbox and they look at it. This is a way to get right to them. I used to know a person who only checked her real mail, you know, the mail that comes to your house, once every 4 or 5 days, a week, sometimes 2 weeks. She'd go and her mailbox was stuffed with stuff. So people don't always pay attention to that, and when they do, if you're like a lot of people, you probably open your mail over your trash can, right? Throw it, throw it, throw it, keep, throw it, throw it, throw it, keep. But you look at the things that come to your inbox. And if it's from a company that you've done business with, just like someone that you know, you are more apt to pay attention to that than you are to a piece of junk mail. It eliminates postage. There is no postage with a Constant Contact HTML newsletter. None. It can be done X times a month. I put X in there because it used to be the old thing was, oh, you know, you don't want to send it to anybody more than once a month. Once a month, that's the max. That's BS. It's as many times as they will allow you to, as long as you are sending them something of value. Value is the key word there. Don't just sell, 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 sell. Buy this from me, buy this from me. Give them something of value. Give them a reason to want to look at what it is that you are sending to them. Develop that relationship. Everyone wants to be thought of as more than just your next sale. Everyone here is a unique human being, and so are the people that you are trying to sell to. Treat them like human beings, and that's what social media is allowing us to do. It has social right in the name. It has social right in there. It's not commercial right in the name. It's social right in the name. Minimal cost. The Constant Contact fee that you will pay monthly is based on the number of email addresses that you feed into that. And it's not huge. I have one client I do one for every month, actually several times a month for different salespeople. He's probably got about 2,000 email addresses in there now and unlimited photos because, you know, their least expensive thing only gives you a few photos. But, you know, you want it to be beautiful. You want it to be interesting. You want it to visually capture the person. And I think it costs like $35 a month. But that hits all of the customers in the different list. And guess what? You segment your list too. Maybe you have commercial clients. Maybe you have residential clients. Maybe you have clients that you do some kind of renewing service for once a year. You have different lists. And then you can compose an email to the different lists. Constant Contact does all of that for you. Very cheap, very effective. Professional templates. You don't have to be a graphic designer. You're doing one for St. Patrick's Day. You pull down a St. Patrick's Day template. You put your message in. You pop in a photo that they'll tell you how to resize, and then it saves all your photos. Or they have all kinds of stock artwork that you can pop in there. You add a coupon. Yes, they've got a little template to add a coupon. They've thought about it already. They've thought it all through. And then you send it with the stroke of one button. It goes to all of those people on your list. Has anyone ever tried to do email marketing themselves and you just sat down at your blank screen and you wrote a 4-paragraph email and maybe an attachment onto that, and then you sent it to like 300 people? Well, guess what happens? You can't do that because that identifies you as a spammer. And then all these red flags go up all over the place. Chances are if you try to hit some of those same email addresses again, now you won't be able to because you've been identified as somebody that spams. You get a lot of bounces back. It's not the way to do it. If you are doing something like that, completely rethink it. It's very old school. This is the way to go. And Constant Contact is just one brand. There are several. It can send to thousands of emails with no spam issues, like we were just talking about. It can be used with your other social media programs. So you embed a link in there, and then it drives them to your website. Or you embed something else, and it drives them to your Facebook. Or it drives them to your YouTube video. comes directly to their inbox where they live, drives them to your site. How many people wake up in the morning and say, oh, I just cannot wait to get online and go to Mariah Corporation website. I'm going to spend some quality time on that website today. No, people don't think that way. But if you send something to their inbox and there's a compelling message or a nice greeting from the CEO who's just saying something nice, he's reaching out to you as a real human being, and then there's a little link there to a video they just did, you just might click on that. If you haven't been collecting customer email addresses, start doing it immediately. Okay, before I go to Facebook, one more thing about Constant Contact. Here's the real beauty of it, is it gives you reporting on what people do with the information you send them. What do I mean by that? Well, if you just give someone your brochure, you don't know if they go home and throw it away. If you send someone a Constant Contact email, and here's a pretty little thing, and you've got links to your website, and you've got links to your YouTube video, and you've got links to your Facebook, you get a report from Constant Contact that says, oh, Mary Jane at cfl.rr.com went right to the website, to the page where we're selling those inventory products that we've been trying to sell. Is that actionable data? Yeah. It absolutely is. It tells you what people are doing with what it is that you're sending to them. Oh, and here Mary Jane went in again the next day. And Mary Jane forwarded it to her friend. What does it tell you about Mary Jane? She is a hot prospect. You might not know that otherwise unless you are reaching out to her in a way that lets you know what it is that Mary Jane is doing with your material. Okay, now we're on to Facebook. The biggest group, yeah, as you would expect, is the younger people, 26 to 34. This data is as of January of this year, so I'm sure it's a moving target because this is growing so fast. But the fastest growing segment, the 55 to 65, that 7% slice, which I'm sure is a little bit larger now, that is the fastest growing segment. So more people, this really is people of all ages. It's not just for teens and tweens, and has 750 million active members. It's the most widely used. Women, 55-45, that's changing too. It's really half and half. It really is representative of all of us. And there they are, and they're just waiting for you to get them. Create a brand page for your business. I'm going to mostly talk about a brand page with the slide, but I want to talk about Facebook advertising too, because it's so cheap and it's so targeted, and anybody can do it in 5 minutes. Ask users to like your page. You create a brand page, and then that person that I was talking about that works with the Small Business Development Center who gives the things at the Cocoa Beach Chamber, that person is like the expert on creating your brand page. I would say go to one of those seminars if you don't have a brand page already. It begins a conversation, and it's free. Those are the reasons you want to do it. Begins a conversation. So you may attract some new people that don't know who you are, but you more likely will be able to interact again for free with people that are already familiar with you or who are friends of people that like you and have experience with you. Start that conversation. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Maybe you put a little, maybe you've got a new product you're launching. Just launched our such and such. You interact with people professionally, but it still has a social feel to it. You can tweet, you can like, you can share, you can dig, recommend. Use whatever combination of social media works for you. But that point is to be where your customers are. Be where they are. What does that need for you to do? It needs for you to know who your customer is. Remember we talked about that before. Can you visualize them? Do you know how they act? Do you know how they behave? You should know where they grocery shop. You should know the kind of clubs and things they belong to. The only way you can find that out is to interact with them, survey them, do your research. The more you know who your customer is, the more you can target other ones just like them that have demonstrated a willingness to buy. Fastest growing segment in social media is 50 plus. Here's a website, socialquickstarter.com. You can go to that, and it gives you an overview and very easy to understand language of all those different things out there. Who is it? Betty White was saying, yes, I do the Twitter. Betty White is tweeting, right? This gives you an overview, and it helps you to understand it. Before we move on to the next one, let me tell you just real quickly about Facebook advertising. In addition to having a brand page, which is free for you and allows you to interact, you can actually advertise on Facebook too. Remember earlier we were saying, well, how do they know I graduated in 1978? Here's an ad to reconnect with blah, blah. Or, they serve ads up there. Here's the way it works. Somewhere on your Facebook page or on Facebook, or even if you don't have one, you can just say advertise on Facebook and it'll drive you to this. There's a little thing that says create a Facebook ad. And so you click on that, and within 5 minutes, it will ask you, what is the target, what is the age of who you're looking for? What is the gender of who you're looking for? What is the geographic range of who it is that you're looking for? 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles? It will ask you a series of questions, and there are menus that you can go into that are even deeper that allow you to create the perfect demographic profile of that person that's in your head that that has demonstrated a willingness to buy. And then Facebook will say, okay, based on the information you've given me and the range, the geographic range, there are crunch, crunch, crunch numbers, 15,000 people that fit that description. To do an ad for your kind of business, which you've already told them what you do, we think that will be crunch, 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 and then it gives you a price per ad. Now here's the real beauty of the price per ad figure, which is cheap. The price per ad figure. Then they will say, what is your budget? And you can set a budget as low as $10 a week. $10 a week. So you know what the price per ad is? Let's just say it's 20 cents an ad. There are all different ones depending on how many businesses are advertising, what the business is. Anyway, let's say it's 20 cents. You're setting a budget of $10 a week. Don't worry, we're not going to do math because this is not a math brain. But then it will say, okay, they will only serve up the ad that you create, which you create with a simple photo, a simple tag, maybe a logo. They will serve that ad up to the exact profile that you have created of who you want for your customer, and they will serve it up to all the people that match that description. And you will only get charged when that person says, ooh, this is interesting, click, and then it drives to your website. Then, thank you, that's 20 cents to Facebook. And then they do it again, and then they do it again. And over, for as much budget as you have, and if maybe you want to expand that geographic area, and of course now it's not 15,000 people, now it's 25, now it's 50, now it's 100,000 people. And so that's the way it works. But you're only charged when that person clicks through to your website. Why is that perfect? Because it's only the people that you want. It's not just people that are trolling, it's people that you want. And it drives it right to your website. And it does not get better than that. And that is what geo-targeted and behavioral targeted marketing is all about. People tell them what their hobbies are. You say, I want someone with X hobby. Boom, it's a match made in heaven.
Joyce, should that be on your business or your personal or both?
Well, there's the Facebook advertising is a separate animal. Your personal page and your brand page are free products where you simply are there on Facebook. Facebook advertising is where you create an ad that is served up to other people's Facebook pages. So they log on and they're on their Facebook page. Boom, here's lampsonline.com. Oh, I've been looking for Lamps Online. Click, you're charged 20 cents. It's super simple, it's super cheap, and that is the wave of the future, folks. They keep moving the change. I thought I'd do a little plug here for PR since that really is my real business. They keep moving the change. Public relations. What is public relations? People don't really always know what public relations is, although they know what PR is. And PR stands for public relations. But it's about sending a stream of proactive messages out into the marketplace. So before you ever have a crisis in your business and you're like, oh my God, we need to do something. Now we've got, you're proactive. You build a positive image of yourself to the general population in the media before you ever have a problem. Hopefully you won't ever have a problem. But it helps ensure that you're part of that changing environment and that you're not passed by. What does that include? Press releases. There are a lot of wonderful, wonderful stories in every single business. But people, the businesses themselves are, first of all, they're busy running their own businesses. Surprise, surprise. But they don't know what news is. News is not an ad. News is something real that happens in your business. It can be any one of these, all these different kinds of things here. But only real news constitutes a press release and gets sent to the media. It has to be packaged in a certain way, and it has to be sent to the right people. And that's the process that yes, ma'am.
I was at a meeting this week at the Chamber in Merritt Island,
Yeah.
and we had a representative there from Florida Today.
Yes.
And he just stressed to everybody in the room, and I'm going to relay that to you, send him press releases.
Yes.
Please, send them
Yes.
press releases. They want them. People are not sending them like they used to. So if you have some new exciting thing happening with your business, you're starting a new product line, something exciting, send Florida Today.
Absolutely.
9 out of 10 chances you'll be in the paper.
Up to 70% of the content that you see in the newspapers today is generated initially by a press release. Now, that doesn't mean that they're just sitting there waiting for somebody to send them something, but it means they can't be all places all the time. So therefore, somebody gives them a heads up that, hey, something new is happening. If it is something that constitutes general news and they think that it is of interest to their readers, then they're going to follow up on that, and then it becomes a story. But it starts with you sending your information in. At the, if you get Florida Today, usually at the end of every story, at the end of everything, you'll see the name and the email address of the person that wrote that story. So all you've got to do is start a media list, start a list of the people who are writing the kinds of stories that would be receptive to your news. And then when you've got something, send that to them. Or you can hire me. You are the expert. So as you add to your professional credibility, you'll be sought out by the media to comment as an expert in your field. This is a very good thing, and it adds even more to your credibility. And it reinforces your customers' good opinion of you. Oh, look, there's the guy at the Belton Warehouse. Oh, yeah, look, they're using him as a source for this article. It just psychologically says, ooh, they know what they're doing. They're being used as an expert source for this article. So when the cheese moves again, move with it. And that, thank you for coming.